Hello guys and welcome to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler and today we are reviewing the CJRB kicker. Now let me start off with a couple, I'm going to do my disclaimer that I'm going to try to get down fast, but long story short, I use a lot of profanity in my videos. It is the way I talk. I am not trying to censor anything that I do. It just would kind of make it not fun for me to do these. Also, there's my kid in the background making noise, so feel free to put in the comments to tell that kid to go into a different room. But yeah, so if you're offended by profanity or any kind of, slang terms or anything like that, just please, just don't even watch the video, move along, and I appreciate you even clicking on the video. So take that into account. If you don't mind profanity and you want a little bit of entertainment, welcome, and here we go. Today we have the CJRB kicker. The main reason I wanted to get this knife is because of this recoil lock. But let's get into the specs. I will go over the recoil lock as in depth as possible, which is basically the Benchmade's axis lock on the back of the knife. But I'll go into I'll get into it in a little bit. So let's get into the blade stock first and foremost. Like all CJRBs, I'm assuming this is going to be a 0.12 for the thickness of the blade stock. And we are coming in at a 0.12, and it wanted to go to a 0.13, so you're probably looking at a 0.125 or 125 thousandths. Behind the blade, or behind the edge thickness, I feel like this is going to do pretty well, which... ugh. It doesn't. It's looking like behind the edge. It's a hard measurement to get. It's closer to a 30 thousandths, which is unique, and I'll get into why that is unique here in a little bit. It's got a flat grind that goes up about 3/4 of the blade and a full flat blade that goes all the way across. Hey, quiet. A full flat blade that goes all the way across. The back of it is not knocked down or anything like that. The blade shape is coming in at close to a sheep's foot or a reverse tanto. And sorry, had to take away the noisemaker. A sheep's foot or like a reverse tanto, maybe a hybrid, with a little bit of a trailing point mixed in there. The pocket clip is ambidextrous. It is on a pivot system that has a D-shaped pivot in there. I have not taken this apart, but like the other CJRBs that I've taken apart, the D-shaped pivot system doesn't seem to work. It still spins on me, which is unique. The pivot is T8 screws with some T6 screws in the body and in the pocket clip. The pocket clip is a deep carry, but probably only carries about 1/8 out of the pants. And I was going to do something new, and I've already started this video, so I'm not going to, but I'm going to give a little insight. My next reviews, I'm going to give like grading, right? I'm going to look at, the ergos, I'm going to give a B-. I heard Metal Complex doing it like randomly, and I thought that was kind of cool. I'm interested in just how somebody else would grade a knife. But moving on. So it does have this flipper tab, which in the beginning is difficult to access because of the recoil lock that is back here. Once you get used to it, it's not bad. The ergos on it are okay. You got a good place for your thumb up here. There is no forward finger choil, but you can bear down on this. Just be mindful that your finger is basically pressing against the edge. I don't recommend this unless you're doing just super light duty work. The rest of the ergos are just fine. This hold right here, your fingers and your hammies fit all across. The pocket clip, now I'm noticing it. Maybe it's because of my ouchie. Maybe I'm noticing it, but I feel like I can feel the pocket clip more than most. Does it make it a hot spot? I don't think so, but it makes it something to be wary of, right? Yeah, so getting into some more of the specs, let's jump into the weight. You see me kind of focusing to shut this because it will take you practice. This thing weighs about 4.56 ounces. I'm not sure what it's listed at on site, but it's not a light knife, but none of the CJRBs are. As far as pocket liners, they're not recessed, and nor are they milled out on the inside. It's got this G10 backspacer right here with this G10 that's kind of grippy. It's not too bad. It's a decent amount of grip that's not obnoxious. Getting to the length. It's just about 8 1/4 inches with just under a 3.5 inch blade and about little over 3 1/4 of the cutting edge. Got this nice sharpening choil right here. Like I said, not really room to put your finger. You probably could. The tip doesn't come down too dainty. You got a lot of flat right here, and the flat runs the whole length of this blade, so it's just coming down to where it's not bad. Jumping into some of the brain fart. Jumping into some of the comparisons. Let's go with your ProTech Newport and your Rat Model 2 sandwich, which I have trademarked because nobody else does this, and I don't have a Rat Model 2. And I just said Rat Model 2, Rat Model 1. I don't have a Rat Model 2 to compare with these two. As I have said before, I'm going to look over the top and give you guys a visual from over the top. You can see from an over-the-top view, the Rat is slightly longer. You can't see that from your angle, and once I get an over-the-top view camera mount, you guys will start seeing that. It kind of sucks from the angle. As a reviewer, it's easy. I can see what I'm doing, but as a viewer, you get a distorted view of what's going on just by the depth of the camera. So if you're looking at these, the feldspar and the kicker are almost the same as far as overall length goes. And I hope no, it's not. I'm not trying to show my face. I'm going to make it mysterious. Quasimodo this shit. Here's the backlash and the Daros. So the backlash is coming in about the same length as the kicker, and the Daros obviously is not. And then last but not least, what I'm including in all my CJRB reviews is the CJRB Rhea. Fantastic little knife. And the Spyderco PM2. Also coming in at just about the same length as the CJRB kicker. CJRB kicker obviously coming in with much more of the cutting edge. And my son gives a clap for that. All right. So I'm trying to, if I feel rushed, let me know that I'm rushed if you're not enjoying it. But what I'm trying to do is kind of get through this a little bit quicker, shorten the videos just a little bit, and get to just my overall opinions on this knife. So nothing's knocked down on the G10, but it's rounded off okay. Like I said, the grip is fine. As far as blade centering, this is what you're getting. Very much off center. I can fix it, but it's irritating to buy a knife like that. But it doesn't affect any of the performance. There is no blade play. I did tighten the pivot, not for the blade play, to see if that I can get that to center and all just by a little tweak of the pivot. It did not work. The blade shape, this is a super slicey blade. So I used this for food prep the other day just to kind of get a feeling for how this knife is working. And that's a bad view of this knife. Just to get a feeling for how this feels. And I was cutting with the Mangrove, and then I switched to the kicker. And I can tell you guys, that's why I was so surprised at the behind the edge thickness. I don't know that I did that right, because the kicker does cut so very well. It's a good slicer. It's a decent. I just enjoyed prepping the food way more with this than I did with the Mangrove. On to the main reason why everybody is interested in this, if they are. So if you're interested in this knife, it's probably not because it looks just like the Talo with a little less of a angry edge. You know, it's because you're seeing this and it has this damn recoil lock on it that's so different. And you can see me manipulate it like I know what the hell I'm doing. That is only because I've had at least a week of fidget factor with this knife. Did I mention the lanyard hole? There's a lanyard hole. I had about a week of fidget factor with this knife, you know, when you're driving, which you shouldn't do, but some people do. They grab it and they... So anyways, first and foremost, you can fail it. You can fail it pretty easy. But it's also pretty easy to open, right? I don't have to wrist flick it or anything. As far as shutting it, getting it to do what I'm doing right here is actually kind of a feat, because you have to find the right grip. See how I'm gripping the pocket clip right there with those two fingers? If I want to use my pointer finger and my thumb to shut this, that's how I have to do it. There's no way I can do it any other way like that. The only other way to shut it is to pinch, pull with one finger. But this requires a pretty good effort on your pointer finger to do. And I don't do it well every time, but I practiced before the video so I wouldn't fuck it up. But when you're using your one finger, this comes right back out. And notice how I have to move my finger out of the way to get it to shut. The one cool thing, and I know they all do this, but there's a point where this is like almost like it's got that spring tensiony feel right here, right? But you see how that just sucked it in from all the way back there? That's cool. You know, I guess I never paid attention on Benchmates to see if it really does that or not, but that is why you can actually fidget pretty funly with this knife. It really sucks it back in there to where you don't have to get too much. Right there, you fail. See, if you stop short, you will fail. And then my kid growls at you. Does anybody else have children that growl? He's 16 months old and he's growling at people. It's ridiculous. I would love to say that you're the reason I drink, Ronnie, but I drank before you, so it's not your fault. All right. Rude. So anyways, this is a CJRB kicker. I would say if you're excluding the RIA, I think the RIA really gets a pass for everything, and I don't think you should compare anything to this because this is on a next fucking level. I feel like this is CJRB's next level of stuff. Now, the kicker technically is too with that recoil lock, but it's their same design of all their other shit. Let's take a look at the fucking Tala. I mean, this has a wannabe Warncliffe-ish blade, right? And I love this thing, don't get me wrong. The kicker I like a lot. I like the ergos on it. You know, the grip is very similar. It's just got a different texture. A little less curve. This has that trailing point thing going on. But, I mean, it looks very similar. It's basically like they took this knife and like went like, and stretched it back, right? So, it's not anything unique. But what it is the lock is unique, and they just marketed it just like Civivi did, you know, where they take a couple different, you know, styles of blade, and they add some different scales onto it, and they call it a different knife. That's basically kind of what this is. Civivi did that. Look at the Durus and look at the Backlash and the Praxis. The Durus is literally the love child of the Backlash and Praxis, as somebody else put. I think it was Justin. On a comment on one of my other videos. That's kind of what this is. This is basically a Krag mixed with the frickin' Tala, and then you add a recoil lock. So that's that. But I do love this blade. I love the blade shape. The ergos on it are fine. They're not great. They're not awful. The recoil lock, once you get used to it, is great. Good. We'll say good. Once you get used to it, that lock is good. Getting used to it sucks. I picked it up and I go, this sucks. And I used it and it grew on me, kind of like a lot of other knives that I use. So that's the general overview. Can I recommend this knife? For sure. I actually like the recoil lock. It's different. For 35 bucks, I mean, who gives a shit? Like, you can pick it up. If you don't like it, hand it off as a gift to your buddy and whatever. But, you know, not acting like I'm full of money, but you guys get the point. It's not anywhere near the expensive price of anything else out there. I mean, it's pretty dirt cheap for one of these knives in this everyday enthusiast knife world. I'm going off on a tangent and losing my momentum here. Long story short, guys, I can recommend the CJRB kicker. The blade shape's great. The recoil lock's okay. The ergos are okay. The weight, Deep carry pocket clip, carries pretty deep, carries well. And I'm not mad at it. Probably, it's tied for me with the Tala. I like the Tala a lot. I like the Tala better than I like the Mangrove and the Krag. Almost as much as the Feldspar. The Feldspar kind of has that Backlash-ish feel to me, so it's kind of like I love it and I hate it at the same time. Because the Backlash does things better than the Feldspar does. But these two are probably my favorite, like, off models of CJRB, just because they're not marketed as much as the other ones or got as much hype. But I love these two knives. This one just kind of joined in because it's the same color and a similar blade shape. Anyways, guys, that's my review of the CJRB kicker. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay sharp, stay stay safe, wear your fucking masks, and be respectful to other people. Have a great day.